finally, this is some big news. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and quite literally one of the biggest zombie games out there right now, Infection Free Zone, has had some new updates. Welcome aboard and good to see you all here. Yeah, we covered this one at its launch earlier this year, and since then it's got a major update that adds a lot of new armor and different ways to build your base and of course try to survive and then thrive after a zombie apocalypse, or as they call it, the infected. Well, now there's another new update, and since its release we didn't get a chance yet to take a look at the first one or this newest update, so we're going to have a jam-packed episode here covering all the new things to the game, including new vehicles, as I mentioned, new armor, and new ways to play, and new things to build, and new rebalances to things like defenses and their values, and just making the game better as it goes along. Now, a cool thing is the developers have started to deliver on that roadmap by first kind of making bug fixes and then adding new content, and pretty much every step of the way they've been adding new stuff and then trying to fix anything or tweak things that players thought could be different, and they want everybody to jump on their Discord and take surveys and stuff, and that's something that I've been seeing everywhere on every game lately, that developers are incredibly involved in the development of their games, and they want to know from fans and from players what they really want to see next and what they like, what they don't like, what they think could change. So a lot of cool stuff coming to the game in the future, including explosives and a car workshop, which may allow us to modify vehicles. And that'd be pretty sweet to actually cut the top off of a van and put like a gun turret on there or something like that. But anyway, this game allows us, as I mentioned, as it is the biggest game in the world, yeah, literally allows us to survive anywhere in the world. Like literally click anywhere and you can actually go build there, like I just did just now. And then it'll load it all in, and it takes a little bit of time, but yeah, if you're going to basically click on somewhere in the middle of Africa or India, China, or maybe even like up in Alaska, the game will attempt to generate all the buildings and the roads and whatnot that may be around there. I mean, who knows? You could even go to Area 51 as we have before, Disneyland, Disney World. You can go to airports, and the latest update also allows us to much more effectively fortify large buildings. One of the biggest complaints before is if you'd go to Washington, D.C., for example, to try to take control of the Pentagon, the building was just simply too big and squads couldn't move through it. Well, now that's another new thing that they can do, is actually move to different parts of the building, kind of similar to how it works in Company Heroes, where you can have a machine gunner on one side of the building and then switch to a completely different side. Very effective stuff. Well, anyway, welcome aboard. We're going to take our first look then at all the new changes to this game, Infection Free Zone. It's out now on Steam. You can get it, and all the things that you'll see are officially out for everyone. So thanks for watching. All right, thanks again for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for hitting that like button. We're going to jump into all this stuff right now. So let's go ahead and pick a part of the world that seems awesome. But I'd like to know two quick questions from you. One, where would you want to first survive if it were an actual infection apocalypse? Where's somewhere you would be, or where's somewhere that you're familiar, as this game does take real-world data like hospitals and police departments? And also, what's one weapon that you would want to rely on, like a crowbar, crossbow, maybe a shotgun? A lot of people always saying something like a pike, which is also new to the game, too, pole arms. And I think that thing that firefighters use, is it called a halligan? That thing, because of course you can open doors, get through some structures that way, and of course keep the enemy at bay. All right, let's go ahead and pick a place, and let's build a base. Let's go. Here we go. St. Augustine, Florida. Large city here with a lot of coastline, a lot of water, a lot of roads and buildings, and a large city. But in the upper right corner here, it might be a little tough to see. At St. Augustine, there is a old fort. Actually, it's in the lower right corner where that pin is. Right about here's where I want to start. So in the upper right corner of this area here, there's a fort, probably from the Spanish and maybe modernized throughout the Civil War and other things like that, to not only just be a better fortification and then eventually to become a museum, meaning that there's more than likely other support buildings around it, like visitor centers. Maybe there's even a large fence around that because it is a national park and or kind of a historical site. Regardless of all that, this is a perfect place to start, as it is a fortified structure next to a very large city. And now, let's get started in Infection Free Zone. One last thing, though, we can then do the tutorial if we want to, which we're going to turn that off, and story elements, too, which we can turn on and off as well. We'll turn that off for today's exploration of all the new updates. And to speed things up, we're just going to go ahead and give ourselves a little bit more room but we'll make it a little bit more interesting with the larger number of hordes. Now we can also change our banner too, which is pretty cool. We got all sorts of different things that we can pop on here. Wow, looking like Mad Max level stuff. Cool, like Immortan Joe. But yeah, so we can customize our banner to be pretty much many symbols. Japanese, it look like, maybe Korean, and maybe there'll be an option to import other things in the future. But I think for now we'll go with maybe the sword, which seems pretty cool. Let's make our sword red, and let's make the background black, something like that. I don't know. And then we'll just go with that, and we can go ahead and just leave it infection-free zone of St. Augustine. Let's begin. Oh, time to plan our initial moves. Cool. So we need to pick where we want to do our base of operations. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're limited to this area here because this is quite a large game. I mean, it's literally putting down tons of buildings that actually exist in real life, or at least where they could be. It does a pretty good job, again, of trying to, like, literally mark a distillery as a pub. So, of course, we could find things in there like alcohol or whatnot for medical things. But yeah, a police station would be a police station, a school would be a school, maybe there'd be a hospital, maybe a library. In other words, you could find things like medical supplies at a hospital, maybe building parts at a hardware store, maybe seeds and things like that to then better survive. Now, they've also added children into the game, so you can actually, you know, colonists can reproduce, and there's also shotguns, more armor, and many new ways to build your squads, which are incredibly important. Now, this is hilarious. Okay, so they've literally taken this building and tried to make something out of it. This, again, was like a, you know, Spanish-era fort, right? But now we have ourselves water towers and air conditioning units and all this other stuff on it. It looks hilarious. It looks like a modern, like, well, kind of a modern school or something like that. It looks like it's made of brick. But what's cool here is we actually have a fortification here, too, and a lot of open area around it, which is perfect for fortifying on our own. So we could start farming, then build a wall around this, and then, of course, we could be able to fortify. Now, another cool thing is that with those squads, as I had mentioned before, we could actually put squads in these corners, and the enemy can come in from the water. And sometimes we don't have to just deal with the infected either. Sometimes it could be humans, too. So, I mean, in the future, I'd love to see raids in this game where, like, you know, vehicles, convoys of vehicles will come and attack your base. That'd be really cool. Anyway, we're going to try to pick this as our headquarters. And this building is extremely large and will be very hard to defend in the first days. We recommend choosing a smaller building. Are you sure you want to choose it as your HQ? I sure do. Alright, so now our fog of war is very limited, but you can see here that the game does a good job of trying to indicate if something is a mall or if it's a parking garage here, because it's indicating that this is a historic downtown parking facility. Yeah, very important to pay attention to these things because this could be car batteries, oil, maybe a working car around here too. That's another thing to be able to find is now compact cars, which is cool because then you can, of course, use that as a scout, or large vehicles like SUVs, which, of course, carry a lot more and could be more armored. We got a lot of other things here to pay attention to, but yeah, any sort of odd structure that's oddly shaped is very important to pay attention to. A lot of these are going to be medium density residential, commercial, but a building like this could be a hospital. This church here, of course, is a very good thing to defend too on the street corner. A little bit of breathing room around it, so if we get caught out in the open, we can go ahead and, you know, have our people dive in there. Now, we've also got a building next door, which is cool. We could turn this into almost like a main gate or something in the future. So we can also, oh, look at that. Banners all over our building. That's really cool. All right, I like that. So we've got ourselves, let's see, 23 food. We've got 9, I'm going to just say boxes of ammo, 6 handguns. Now we can actually find salvageable shotguns, which is cool. But we can also make, yeah, pole arms, which is sweet. We have assault rifles and sniper rifles that we can find. You know, just a generic term for all the different type of assault rifles you can find. You know, so you could find like a, I don't know, an AK, or maybe you could find like a, maybe even like a semi-automatic, like a M14, and it'll just still be classified there, just for ease of use. Hopefully mods in the future will make that different, but we have also now trees that will regrow faster. We have a little bit of wood, so we're going to have to go out, unfortunately, far to be able to find a lot of trees. So let's get started then by making multiple squads. Yeah, cool. So you can see here now that they can wear armor, or as they call it, gear. Then, of course, you can see whether or not they're armed with a machete or a handgun. In this case, yeah, if they're unarmed, then they automatically get a melee weapon, so they're not always unarmed. But you can give your people pole arms and even try to have patrols over at your base, which is cool. So we're going to try to go with 3 squads to start with to go out and scavenge, because, yeah, we're pretty much out of guns after that. So let's go ahead and scavenge next door. And we're going to go also, let's see, down the street. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of people doing a lot of stuff at once. So one thing I like to do in this game, too, is give orders one at a time. But I do like how now they indicate that the blue line shows where people will go in a building. So you know once they hit the blue line that they're inside of a structure. Now, a lot of structures in real life have many, many entrances and exits to them. And in this case, this one's only got one. But I see two here on this building. Oh, it's actually two different buildings. But can't wait to see large structures like international airports. Really imagine fighting for like an entire month and trying to clear like a massive mall or an international airport, which could have tons of fuel, possibly tons of parts, and food too. Lots and lots of food at an international airport, and other things like clothing, and I mean, you name it, they're probably going to have it, and or tools to be able to build with. So all right, we got two groups here that are scanning the buildings. They're searching for supplies right away. Day one stuff, like looking for canned goods, and you can see how far along they are at doing that, and they're automatically coming back to the base once they're done. So and that's because this group is full, and so is the other one, full of supplies. And same with this one. Good. So we're getting food and ammo right off the start. That's very nice. All right, let's go ahead and get our group inside working on stuff. Let's tell everybody to start gathering wood. Look at that. There's actually birds flying over the fort. That's really cool. I don't know if I've seen that before. The game now also has a little bit more weather than before. I don't know if the seasons are still in, like it's April right now, so yeah, things would still be kind of maybe brown, and I don't know if they've yet simulated tropical climates where, like, of course, you got the southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere. A lot of that stuff still has to come in, but it is still cool that we're at about, well, we're at just over 85 degrees at 87 Fahrenheit, and the weather forecast shows now that it'll be sunny, and we could get things like rain, which I think will eventually have different things happen. Perhaps we'll have... I would love for the case to be that we would have better cover from the infected. Perhaps crops could fail if there's not enough rain, maybe too much rain, or different crop types that would depend on different types of growing conditions. I mean, if you're in Japan trying to defend Tokyo against or create a infection-free zone in Tokyo, which is the whole premise of this game, then yeah, you'd probably be growing a lot more things like rice and other things that are both native to that climate and that could grow outside easily and that are super plentiful, where you could always find tons of seeds or other things like that for them, or tools to grow them or whatever. So, but yeah, the whole point of this game is to, essentially, as the name of the game implies, to build an infection-free zone, to basically clear out an area of zombies and then basically fortify it, invite more people, and start creating like a wonderful life for people. I mean, as best as it can be. Oh, that's great. We got so much stuff coming back. That's great. Oh, we have flashlights, too. There's so many different things. Oh, this is a... I thought those were flashlights. It's stance now. We got skills, too, for some of our people that will actually be able to see where they can get a driving skill, a melee attack skill. Scavenging and shooting is a little more easier to see now per person. And I do like the fact that we can tell our people to hold fire or not, or whatever. Let's get some more people scavenging, because we will need more people bringing stuff back and forth. Machetes are not great to go out and scavenge with. However, we did see that one group did drop off a melee weapon, which was cool. So as soon as we can, we'll give them that weapon. And look at that, we have a pole arm at least, so that's better than nothing. And we'll send out this group as soon as we can. Free space there. I think we can, let's send out these two other groups now. Now, once we find a vehicle, things get a lot more fun, because then we could drive very, very far away from the base and go look for other vehicles and maybe bring them back, or possibly use them as transportation to safe houses, which is something I really like to make in this game, too, where you fortify a building, not necessarily fortify it, but you're able to kind of like create a... oh, cool, we get split squads as well. But yeah, where you can create a safe house and get people there via vehicle. All right, I'm trying to figure out now how we will give our people a weapon, such as these pole arms here. But I don't see a way to actually give it to that squad that's there. So let's go ahead and disband the squad. Something that I haven't learned yet, and that I found difficult in previous versions of this game. But let's go ahead and disband and then recreate the squad. And then they should have those weapons automatically. There we go. All right, cool. All right, that's good. That's a workaround for now. I'll figure that out later. Not too big of a deal, though. But it will be big later on. Look at this. We got somebody who's got plate armor. Imagine breaking into like an old museum and like taking knight armor and actually wearing it and using it effectively against the infected. One of my favorite armors in a game like this, though, has probably got to be firefighters, right? Like in Project Zomboid, when you play that, You can, of course, wear the firefighting uniforms or the fire protective outfits that have, of course, very thick pants and like an overcoat, and then, of course, a helmet and gloves and things like that. And that really will protect you from biological matter and also, of course, bites and scratches and things like that, too. They'd have to do a lot of work to get through that. And I think we picture the infected as being superhuman. They're faster than humans. They maybe weigh more somehow, more bone density. Left 4 Dead rules, where they're just like super crazy, but also pretty easy to kill too. But you don't want them. Yeah, obviously you don't want them to get anywhere near you. Oh, good. Another building's been cleared. Excellent. Let's send some of our groups back to HQ for real now. We're getting into the nighttime hours. It's about 7 p.m. People will go back into shelter now and start working on, I guess, survival for the night, and are trying to get some sleep. We're going to go and take a peek at technology now. This has been adjusted. They've actually made it so there's different late game prices for some of the research. It takes a little bit more. It's a little more expensive and takes longer to research, but it's better research from what I've heard, so that's good. Oh, we've got ourselves another gun. Hell yeah, brother. Give that to one of the squads when they get back. All right, let's put our squads into the corners of the fort then, except for the ones that are kind of lightly armed. We'll put them there. These are more heavily armed with armor and actual handguns. This is great. Really feels cool to be able to actually tell people to go into a particular side of a building. Let's go ahead and keep these people at the quote-unquote main gate. Now, one thing that I want to happen in this game, too, would be maybe like an area of distribution. Like, for example, here we have 10 boxes of ammo inside the main structure here, the main fort. But this side building here has no ammo in it. So it would be cool if there was just an easier way for this building to be supplied by that building so they can kind of work as like a co-op defense. Additionally, it'd be really cool to make small bridges and structures between other structures, like a a bridge, so that we get from the roof of this building to like the second or third story of the other. And yeah, more cool things that you see all the time from Zomboid, where it almost makes your people a little more primitive in some way, but very clever and able to build a really tight-knit community in a very small area. Think of like a Morton Joe and Mad Max, as I had mentioned before, building all that stuff, in a very small area. And possibly underground. All right, there's a lot of things to salvage out there metal-wise. We'll go out and get that. I think wood's more important. They're going to want us to build a wooden tower, but honestly, we're in a fort. Yeah, we're literally in a structure that was meant for war. Like, this building was meant to, take punishment and get hit by cannonballs and other things like that. Maybe even explosives to some degree, but yeah, very cool that we actually are in a defendable structure. Okay, I don't know where the enemy may come from, but let's go ahead and make sure we've got 2 on the southern side, and we'll have 2 up at the top. I don't think we'll see any infected the first night, really. Although, it's Schrodinger's scavenger. If I send out the team, then they're going to get attacked. If I don't, then they'll be completely at peace. All right, I'm not too familiar with St. Augustine, so I'm going to look around for anything that looks, very important. We've got a lot of natural area over here. I don't think we can reach that. Nah, but we do have hostiles inbound. That may have changed their mind. We do have a large parking lot south of the fort. We also have that large parking lot west of the fort, too. And then, of course, the church that's just down there a few blocks. We also have the... it's an elementary school over here. Okay. So we have the Ketterlinus Elementary School. A large building there. Could find food, educational materials, things for research, I would hope. Man, banging tunes for this game. They've also changed some of the music during the day, and I feel like this nighttime music is maybe slightly different. It's the same music, but maybe they've added some more instruments or something. I don't know, it sounds more sinister. Let's speed up time. I'm going to stay at the fort because like I mentioned, if I go out there, we're going to get chewed up, so... But the horde seems to be growing a little bit. I thought it was smaller than that. Are more reinforcements showing up and gathering together? I don't know. That looks like a hospital. The Lewis House. Okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, there's a large structure here, too. Ponce de Leon Hall. That could be City Hall, maybe?
There are some infected around here.
There sure are. Okay, it's about 6 a.m. At about 5:30, I'm going to tell our people to start heading out. And let's go ahead and get deployed for another day of scavenging. Oh, there's another button, too, I'd forgotten already to press. Oh. Let's go ahead and take a look at scavenge view. If you hit V, you can tell what you may have not scavenged already. And this is a day one thing, but I kind of just simply forgot about it. Showing you what might be in a structure. So we have ourselves a sports shop. So there's a chance to find, you know, maybe gear there. Right? There could be protective clothing there for like football, helmets, that type of thing.
Roger.
Go ahead and keep going out there.
Operator. Roger.
Kind of cool that they actually classify that now. A museum. Ah, there you go. Pole arm, scientific materials, plate armor. Beautiful. The developers have been listening to all the clever ideas from all of you guys. So if you got more, please put them down below. I think this game is a great premise. Really cool, very promising from day one. Many people didn't think it would come out. And I was like, man, it's taking a long time to come out. But when it did, it was good. But now it's getting even better. And I think all those small things will set it apart. And this really does feel like playing like State of Decay top-down on a larger scale. I mean, both in terms of your settlement, in terms of the area you can explore, being in a large city, and then, of course, with being able to manage multiple squads. Of course, it's more of an RTS than it is a first- or third-person shooter or, like, kind of stealth looter-shooter game, which are kind of fun, actually. It's honestly a lot more fun for me to be able to go into a, you know, like in Zomboid, taking it slow and making the zombies a real threat versus Left 4 Dead, which there's no slight to Left 4 Dead there. That is incredibly fun and big W game. But it is cool to see the zombie genre working in many different ways. There's our teaching facility down there. So we'll see if we can go get some stuff from that. We got all of our people. I did forget to assign people jobs. My bad. We only have 14 people unemployed anyway, so, and we have people homeless, so let's get to that then. And again, today's video is not necessarily a tutorial on how to play the game or a prolonged, you know, like series or anything like that. I just wanted to see all the things that I'd missed over time, not playing the game for just a little bit. It does look like actually people are set to scavenger, so that's good. So they're actually going out to gather things like that. And we'll leave 2 people unemployed to be a builder when the time comes. Now we got children. There you go. Children are born when moods are high enough and there's enough food in the shelter. The oldest children will reach adulthood in 6 days. Ah, so 6 in-game days, by the way, equals multiple months. So very cool that we at least don't have to have a child and then raise them for like, I don't know, 15 years or... Well, in an environment like this, you'd probably want them to be knowledgeable as soon as possible. Oh, wow, there's actually some more parts of the wall there. The old city wall, maybe? And, oh yeah, there's going to be findable resources, a fuel canister. Let's go ahead and head out with this group. We're going to try to go as far west as possible to see if we can find some vehicles there. And this group we're going to send north.
Let's do it.
And we'll let the other 2 drop off their supplies. Now, another thing that happens in this game is that the AI is very smart in terms of trying to besiege you, right? They will basically show up and they'll grow their numbers all the way around your fortifications and stuff, and then as time goes on, it's almost as if they plan their big attack. They will actually come in huge numbers and will attack very smartly, all kind of at once, and or test your defenses. It's very cool how they work. I don't think there's actually any intelligence to it, but maybe there is. Like, I feel like they're just dumb and they just kind of do what they do, and then something, you know, it's kind of like dumb luck or like beginner's luck. They just kind of try to besiege you in an interesting way. Hey, we got ourselves a new vehicle. Looks like maybe a 4-door sedan there. Go ahead and grab that. That's what we're looking for. We'll let them scavenge, and then we'll head out and go pick up the vehicle. Let's jump in here. This could be a good kind of a midway point between our base and like the upper, we'll call it like the mid downtown area. Kind of the mid downtown there. That's just what we'll call it for now, because that's our playable area. Very cool indeed. All right, so now they're scavenging that. We've got ourselves a vehicle. Can't wait for the ability to modify vehicles, and I think our people also, I may be misremembering this, but I feel like they should be able to shoot out of the vehicle. I can't remember. But oftentimes you can just run over all of the zombies too, all the infected, and your vehicles are quite effective against them, even though they're supposed to be kind of like superhuman strength and whatnot. I feel like they're more like the apes from Planet of the Apes. They're very strong and intelligent in their own way. More food there. Props to the devs for coloring all this stuff. It was kind of getting boring looking at the black and white all the time, so do appreciate the, you know, getting away from the gray, green, blue, kind of black backgrounds here, and now we're actually seeing some
Ready for the
pretty
run.
colors,
Clear.
letting you easily color coordinate things in your mind, like knowing what's what.
Reporting.
All right, we got a vehicle, sweet, and we can actually attach this squad to the car, so that way they will be permanently assigned to that one. In other words, we could tell them to go to this building, load up with a bunch of supplies, put it in the car, and keep doing that until they're full, and then they'll come back. Oh, cool, there's actually zombies. An ambush. Cool. Music popping off a little bit as we had some infected inside there. Their numbers are small for now, but just you wait. It's good they're giving us some breathing room, honestly. Getting a little time to go out there and explore.
Operator.
More pole arms coming in. This is great. So at least all of our people who are just armed with machetes are actually going to be armed with something decent. Let's go ahead and have our people come back. Another thing I really like in this game is that they'll continue to scavenge or to search what's inside of a building, and anything they can't carry, I'm imagining that they're at least putting it in a safe place in the building to where it can be quickly gathered when a vehicle or another squad comes to pick it up, or they return. So, you know, you go through a multi-story apartment building, bring all the stuff down to the lobby, put it somewhere, maybe hide it from other looters or whatever, and then come and pick it up again. And another thing I want to see more in this game too is I hope to see, and I mentioned at the beginning, is all the raids from enemies. One of my favorite games for kind of a post-apocalyptic world that did that kind of stuff really well was, oh boy, was a game called Surviving the Aftermath. Oh, we got some trouble here, don't we?
Reporting.
All right. Oh, that music, dude, banging tunes. Did they put in some? They put in some new tunes. They must have. Okay, we're gonna need to rescue this other group. They're in some bad times, so we need to immediately get to the car and give them some backup.
Infected around here.
They might actually be able to stand on their own, but we're backup's on the way. We're coming. We're gonna get in the car, and we're gonna immediately fortify that building with them in the north. Uh-oh. We got a group caught out in the open here. They could eventually be tracked down and
Ready for action.
attacked by those infected behind them. We got to be careful.
Operator.
Okay, the group with the car is safe in that building too. Oh boy, I don't know if they're gonna make it.
Reporting. Going there.
They got a couple of guns and a pole arm. I think they'll be okay, but we can't risk it. Let's go ahead and jump in that building and have reinforcements arrive too. Now, of course, the vehicle will take damage based on, you know, hitting enemies and stuff like that, and or you'll find it with a certain condition, but let's go ahead and just run them over just for the funsies. There you go. You saw it drop from, what was it, 47 to 27? But we should be able to repair vehicles, too. Fuel them up, that kind of thing. There's also a repair all button now for buildings, which is cool. You'll be able to repair all your structures, both, I think, the ones that you've modified and other things like that. Speaking of modifying, we should build a building now. Let's go ahead and build ourselves a shelter for people. And it's going to take 99 wood, but 73 people will be able to live there. And we have plenty of wood for that, so we'll get more people on building than anything else.
Operator.
Alright. Well, I don't think we have to be as afraid of the infected at the moment. Let's keep getting out there and make the most of our night. Just jumping from building to building. And we're good. Alright. We're just kind of waiting and seeing what's happening. A lot of this game, honestly, you're going to want to play almost like this and kind of monitor where everyone's coming from. And that, again, is why I don't click shift on anything. I've got this superstition where I want to search one building at a time. A lot of people ask, why don't you hold shift? Why don't you, you know, chain movement together where they can go from building to building? And honestly, I've had so many bad experiences of our squads jumping out of a building to then go to another one and get chased down by a horde or attacked or killed that way. And so, you know, I'd rather monitor each and every one of the squads to make sure that everything that they're doing is, you know, like, safe. I want to make sure I've got the all clear in my mind before I give them the all clear themselves. So, kind of cool. Alright, also the car here has a certain capacity. The larger the vehicle, the more capacity it has. That's, of course, always been a thing. But I wonder what the compact car will have. And I would love to see trailers in this game. Wouldn't that be cool? Eventually, if we could have, you know, towing around trailers, different types of, you know, flatbeds and other things like that. And another thing that a lot of people wanted, and I think that's in here now too, is greenhouses. And of course, with a greenhouse, it may need to be kept warm, and so there's power. And I think the eventual idea of the game is to, you know, wall off your city and then energize it to be able to find or somehow build like diesel fuel generators and be able to ship in fuel, and or maybe eventually get solar power, because that's probably going to be way better than that. I don't know, so long as you can somehow find enough of those. But yeah, I would love to see more ways to build more bases, different ways. It looks like right now it's just build the biggest city that you can in the biggest city that you can, right? Like you go literally to New York City, Central Park, you know, you can go cut down trees in Central Park and like fortify, is that Lower Manhattan, Central Manhattan, whatever the district is. Yeah, I mean, this game's got endless possibilities. I love that though, and that's why I've been enjoying watching it succeed. And so many people have been enjoying it as well. Good to see, man. We need more great games, and it's been another great year of games so far, and hopefully we keep getting better games all the time. Love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, well, let's see what's attacking from the north. Nothing. It's 3 a.m. Do you know where your children are? Oh, no, that's an old commercial, I guess. Anyway, let's go down here. There's some food down there, too. Wow, we got 60 food. Now, again, we can do cookhouses in this game. That is one of the things that they encourage you to do, is to not only just, like, fortify a building that already exists and, like, shoot out of it, but to turn it into something. So to be able to take a building and turn it into, like, this area be your barracks, this area be your scientific lab. And I don't know if there's a way to do that just yet. I think when we convert a building, you select just a certain percentage of it. Like, we can turn this into a warehouse. Maybe not, because it's our actual HQ. But there is a way where you can turn like half a building into something. But I really want to be able to take a structure like this and build within it. I mean, if this were a mall, then you take, like, you know, the Old Navy and fortify that as like your armory. And then you take like the Orange Julius or something and put all your food in there. And then, of course, you would have areas to store food, to store weapons, for people to sleep. Hell, actually, the Old Navy would be a great place for you know, a barracks and keeping all your clothing and other things like that, all the protective gear. Everybody sleeping there. And yeah, so it's great. It's ever evolving. They've certainly made a lot more progress since its release than I ever was expecting. It felt like by the time this game was released to content creators, me and many other people were making endless amounts of videos, and everyone just getting so annoyed because they wanted to play it themselves, and which is good, and I'm all for that too because of all the great feedback. These developers have popped out, you know, 2 big updates and then kind of a midway one that added, you know, shotguns and other things like that, that really did a great service to everything that everybody was wanting, and fixing things that were already kind of, you know, they add features, then they're broken, and they added stuff, and it always has to be balanced. And so with player feedback, that became a thing, and I love seeing it. I'm all about it. All for it, Chief. All for it. Now, of course, we need to build a scientific building. Unfortunately, we can't build everything around this fort, so I was looking also at some forts in the Netherlands. Nederlands, yeah. There's like 2 or 3, I think one in Groningen and another one in Nadal, or so. I don't know the areas, but yeah. So I was looking at quite a few different star forts, and I feel like the ones that are actually meant to be a city are more powerful, because we cannot build structures on our own, and that should be a thing, I think. But they should take far more materials. If you're going to build a little barn or something, it should, of course, take more material than if you were to take a small building like this and do something like that with it. In fact, I don't even think... we can adapt the building to do something. Let's turn it into a... We can actually turn that into a barn. Imagine that. Oh, it's a little too small, though. So we could just get the supplies from it. So let's go ahead and tear that down. And you can see that it's worth... Yeah, look at that. It's got 2 wood, 2 metal, and like 1 bricks in there. So, yeah. It's probably like a, I don't know, little visitor center or something like that. But, yeah. I think we should be able to build structures, because there's going to be so many times where you want to build something cool. We still have to find seeds now. I don't think we found them yet, but maybe we did. Maybe we started with them. I haven't really been paying attention, I'll be honest. And neither were you if you clicked to this part of the video right now. Did you just click to this part of the video and you skipped all that other stuff? Hey, you go right back right now. What are you doing? Come on, you're missing all this quality content. Come on now, Chief. You don't want the infected to win, do you? I thought not. We'll see you in a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I know you guys would never do that, would you? Anyway, let's go ahead and build some farms on this side too. I also like building the farms in, I want our main building to always be where our defenses are, and then to build farms around that. Previously, we also built in Seattle around the Space Needle, and that was cool because it's like a gargantuan tower with a lot of open space around it. It's almost as much as this here, and very cool that you could literally see the hordes coming from miles and miles away. So hopefully in the future there's more of a way where elevation can provide more line of sight, and to put snipers in the towers, and that'll provide more line of sight too, which would be really cool in its own way. So yeah, the cycle repeats. We got ourselves new weather systems, new research. We've got new skills for everybody. Some of our folks are wearing plate armor. Some of them are wearing just regular protectors, like, I don't know, hockey masks and
Building clear.
maybe ski goggles and other things like that. Just really cool. And the fact that we've got more vehicles and that they work better. These systems that worked kind of clunkily are certainly getting a lot better. And that's a big win. I like that a lot. Fortunately, that's all the time we have today for Infection Free Zone. I know you love it. I know you love this game, and so do I. It's a fun one to play. It's always fun to follow the updates, and it's certainly cool at almost the endless potential of being able to build almost literally anywhere on Earth. Very cool stuff. Go ahead and let me know what other locations you think I should build in the future. We built in, Area 51, Alcatraz, Seattle. We built at Washington, D.C., like the White House, and also some other historical castles in the UK and other parts of Europe, and I'd love to know what other things you think would be cool to make an infection-free zone. I'll see you all next time. Thank you again for watching.